ebbs and flows in that game. What did you feel like were, some of the steadying forces that you got to make sure that you hung in there and were able to make the plays that you needed to down the stretch?
I mean, what stands out first is the start of the fourth. It wasn't a great third quarter. We got an early lead, and then it was a 40-point quarter for them or something like that. And to start the fourth quarter, Shea on the bench, that group stabilized the game, handed the game back with a lead. That was just a really, really, like I said, stabilizing stretch.
You guys have a history of players not playing any time first three quarters, and then going into the fourth and making an impact. What'd you make of Ketters just saying?
Great leadership. That's just what I think of when I think of that. Great leadership, because everybody always talks about staying ready, but it's one thing to say it. It's one thing to be ready when your number's getting called. He wasn't set to be in the rotation tonight. We obviously had a couple guys go out, and I wouldn't have called on him if I didn't know he'd be ready to go and throw his best punch. So we always assume our guys are ready, but it's no less impressive when somebody goes in there and gives us the lift that he gave us tonight. We don't win that game without him.
Answer that, Stu. Sorry.
I was just going to ask, the three is in particular for Chet. Was a lot of that the product of some of the hard pressure that they were presenting on the perimeter, opening those things up, or was there anything Chet was doing to help, kind of manufacture some of those looks?
I think it was the offense working for us. Sometimes if he has that volume of threes, it's because the five's on him and he's just popping. But that wasn't the case. I mean, they had wings on him all night. And it was just us, getting the ball ahead of their defense, getting us to rotation. I thought Shea hit him for a couple ones, like early passes, but, the rest of them were out of the flow. So he was ready to shoot. He got it going. We needed all of them. But I thought the way we played, especially to start the game, put us at advantages in the closeouts.
Mentioned that stabilizing structure for Chet was also part of that one to advantage of the game mismatches. It's what did you see out of him down the stretch to close that one out?
Yeah, that whole group, to start the fourth quarter, that's tough. I mean, they put a surge on us in the middle to end of the third. They took a lead in a game that we were up by whatever we were, 15 or something like that. We had control of it, and then we lost it. And it takes mental toughness to go in there and to do that. So. Really, really impressive job by that whole group. All the guys, like I said, being ready to go.
So, like the game, the Chet's impact of the game,
dating back to Friday night against Denver in different ways. Each day, it seems like 21 rebounds. On Friday, productive scoring night in Dallas, and then obviously men's career high in threes tonight. Do you just talk about, his versatility and
how much his game has improved, being able to impact the game in a way like that?
Yeah, I think that's what stands out most about him, is just how flexible he is. Even within a game, tonight he was out there double big the whole first half and the start of the second half, and then we decided to downsize because of the way the game was going and because of the injury to Hart. And, he just kind of shifts to the five, and he's able to do that pretty seamlessly. But to your point, tonight, because of the lineups they throw on the floor and the way that we choose to guard them, he ends up on perimeter players the entire night. He was guarding wings all night. And, it's a completely different fundamental set when you're guarding those guys versus when you're guarding a five and playing regular pick and roll coverage. So the fact that he can swing back and forth between those two things is a huge luxury for us.
How valuable is him having that skill set to you guys?
The games like the and championship rubbers, and that you could throw them out there, and you may not score 20 points, they'll get you 2 blocks, or you may not get you 3 blocks, but they'll get you 4 3.
Yeah. They're really valuable. It starts with how impactful he is as a player. But it's one thing to be impactful. It's another thing to be impactful in a lot of different ways. And, he certainly does that for us. It impacts everything. It impacts schemes. It impacts lineups. It just kind of unlocks our ability to do a lot of different things well. And the one common denominator is him. He's in the middle of all of it.
Felt like your defense was better the more switchable it was. Did you see it that way? I mean, I guess maybe that also leaves you a little bit vulnerable on the glass with Towns and all of his offensive rebounds. But did you see it that way, that you were just more successful when you were able to sort of flatten them out a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, if you switch Brunson too much, then, he can just control the ball the entire game and you're kind of at the mercy of his tempo, his pace. So we like being aggressive with him selectively and making him throw the ball out of there. We like giving teams different looks, to be honest with you. We don't want, especially really good players, Towns, Brunson, these are great players that they've seen everything. So if you give them a steady diet of anything, they're going to solve the puzzle. And so we want them on their toes. We want to give them different looks in terms of schemes, lineups, and even within the game, letting the guys read the game a little bit and do different things. But the ability to switch Towns specifically, just because of the shooting gravity, is a real thing. But he punished us on the glass tonight. He did a really good job. He fought down there.
Do you have any update on either Isaiah or Alex?
No, they were just ruled out for the rest of the game. We'll evaluate them tomorrow. But when they went out, they weren't coming back.
Was there any? I mean, obviously saw what happened with Alex. Was there any play where Isaiah felt anything or did anything? Or
I don't know. Maybe, but he was on the bench, and then I was told that he was out. So it was definitely how he felt when he went over there. I don't know if it was an event or not, whether it was acute.
Hey, Coach, there was a point in the second half. I believe you guys were 12. Lance comes up before, and they just kind of got back and said, hey.
Yep.
Was any drop off in the team in that period?
No, 48 minutes is a long time, and that's a really good team. So, we know coming into a game like this on the road against a great team that it's not going to be smooth sailing for 48 minutes. You got to have the mental toughness to endure parts of the game. They're going to fight. They, are going to throw their punches. And I thought we did a really good job of just staying poised and staying present when that happened. And that was why we won the game. That was a game that they easily could have just controlled at that point from the fourth quarter point on. But like I said, that group to start the fourth really got that game back under control for us.
Mark, what stands out to you in these 8 wins and 4 night trips?
What was the first one? The Dallas. Yeah. I mean, I thought those two efforts were like professional efforts by the team. We were coming off of a emotional game against Denver. And got ourselves a really good start against Dallas. And, same thing with Chicago. We controlled those games, which is a professional effort. Those games are not guarantees. You got to play well. Every win is earned. And then, obviously tonight we knew was a heavyweight fight, coming in against a team of this caliber that's played this well lately on their home court. They play great here. So we knew the task tonight and the guys rose to it. And, we had to rise to it in different ways. It was an unpredictable game. Because of the guys going out and the way we had to pivot a little bit. So I just thought great mental toughness.
Coach, on last double plays, obviously the next double team SGA. How do you think in a certain degree that he's comfortable with those double team? How the last couple plays has been accurate and efficient?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't burn him on those plays, but he has a great blend in those situations. He moves it. He found Lou for 2 great looks. He threw it out to Isaiah Joe one time in rotation. Threw it out to Wiggins once. Threw it out to Kaysen once, and then he finds his crack and he hits that 3. So he's just got a great blend and great control of the game. He's seen all those things, so he knows when to attack. He knows when to give it up. We have unbelievable trust in him in those decisions. He's got unbelievable trust in his teammates, as you saw again tonight. So yeah, I mean he's an elite closer.
Mark, you talked about being on the road, knowing his team would make that attempt to come back. When the crowd gets into it and that sort of buzz is building, how do you make sure to sort of neutralize all of that sort of outside stress and just maintain the hub system and basically try one block?
Yeah, it comes down to the guys. I don't have pixie dust. It's those guys. They're the ones that are executing, and they've got the competitive maturity at this point to understand how to win. And that doesn't mean we'll win every game, but they understand the path you have to walk to win. And so their ability to click in the way that they did tonight, is a necessary skill. And it's great for us to get experiences like this and have success in those experiences. That's how you build your muscle, through the course of the regular season, and make yourself as mentally tough as you can be as you get to the end of the year.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.
Players next, everybody.